Mark Levin here. After any presidential election, I take time to reevaluate my own financial investments. That's why I continue to invest in gold for help with my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're a top gold company in America, and that's who I turn to for my own gold purchases. Call them now at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit. And see if you qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. And tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. We the people. We are, at least putatively, the reason this country exists. We are, at least putatively, in charge of this country. Politicians be damned. Now, I don't know how many times we sit here, we conservatives, we constitutionalists, and watch the Democrat Party media, and the ruling class in Washington, D.C., and that includes certain Republicans, tear into our people, try and destroy our people, and play along with the media. I don't know how many more times we're going to put up with these various individuals. See, it's a very close Senate. 53 Republicans now. We gave them a majority. And yet, a handful of them, 2 or 3, can throw a wrench in the works. Matt Gaetz dropped out. He was the headliner for about 3 minutes. Now they're going after Pete Hegseth. You know Pete Hegseth. I know Pete Hegseth. They're trying to say he's a drunk. He's not a drunk. They're trying to say he drank on the job at Fox. He did not drink on the job at Fox. They're trying to say he drank on the job in his prior position. He did not drink on the job in his prior position. A letter was put out by a trustee of the organization that said it never happened. And so now where are we? He's controversial, quote unquote. Well, Donald Trump was said to be controversial. They indicted him 91 times. Their goal was to do what? To make him so controversial he'd drop out, but he didn't. To make him so controversial that you wouldn't support him, but you did. To make him so controversial that he wouldn't be president, but you voted for him overwhelmingly, and he's going to be president again. They threw criminal cases against him, civil cases against him. They threw a libel case, this allegation of rape against him. He survived it all. The lesson here is stand strong. Now, there are individuals who aren't worth standing strong for. The guy with the DEA, I called him out first behind this microphone, was a lousy choice. I don't know who was involved in it. Now that he's gone, you got all the tough guys in radio and TV saying that guy was a bad guy. Okay, great. I've raised questions about this labor secretary appointment, but I said Donald Trump gets who he wants. I even said that with the DEA. He fired the guy. He got rid of him. And in the end, that's what he can do and will do. Joni Ersk of Iowa. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Certain other Republicans. Playing into the media. They live by the media. Despite their protestations, they love the media attention. They love people shoving microphones and cameras in their faces. They're so consequential, you know. Pete Hegseth is a combat veteran. I mean real combat, 2 Bronze Stars. How many Bronze Stars does Lindsey Graham have? None. And with all due respect to Senator Ernst, who was in military combat, how many Bronze Stars does she have? None that I'm aware of. Maybe she's got 1. I don't know. But shouldn't the benefit of the doubt go to Pete Hegseth? Shouldn't the benefit of the doubt go to Pete Hegseth? I don't care who's waiting in the wings. I don't care about Plan B. I'm talking about Plan A. And we, the people, when we get behind these nominees, can't have the rug pulled out from under us because the Democrats and their media and some of these rhino establishment Republicans start coughing up fur balls. Didn't we learn our lesson? It's an amazing thing. We get people who are the most grotesque, immoral slobs out there, like Swalwell, like AOC, like those people, questioning Pete Hegseth. And you have politicians here who will look us in the eye, through the camera, speak to us over the microphone, who, as I speak, are cheating on their wives and cheating on their husbands. Probably a pretty good damn percentage of them. And probably a bigger damn percentage of the media. The sleaze that goes on in the media. I hear about it all the time. Right, CNN? Right, MSNBC? Yes, even some of our friends. I hear about it. It's really none of my business. But now, you see, they're going to beat their chests. They think they're Jerry Falwell. The same party that supported Ted Kennedy, a drunk and a womanizer, Chappaquiddick Ted. The same party that supported Bill Clinton, accused of rape in more than one instance, harassing women. But they defended him and they backed him. Lyndon Johnson, a complete sleazeball and a racist on top of it. One of their great presidents, John Kennedy, slept with an intern underage. All the facts are out now. Another womanizer. If it's out of the closet, baby, it's out of the closet. That's the way it goes. And these media types, they know who they are, and I know who some of them are, too. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Here's the bottom line. Pete Hegseth would make a tremendous Secretary of Defense. That's why they're trying to stop him. He's not a good old boy. He's a good young man. He's a reformer who's looking out for the actual soldiers in the field, in combat, in battle. He has nothing to do with, wants nothing to do with, these long in the tooth, fat-ass generals and admirals who've done horrific things to this country and to the Pentagon with their wokeism and their DEI and all the rest. That's the truth. He would make a fantastic Secretary of Defense. So they want to stop him. And a lot of these people want to stop him. They treat the Pentagon like any other bureaucracy. It's not like any other bureaucracy. Those people put their lives on the line, but they treat it that way. They're being told by the generals and the admirals. They're being told by the upper echelon at the Pentagon they don't want Hegseth. That's who Lindsey Graham's listening to. He doesn't care about these allegations. That's who Joni Ernst is listening to. Unbelievable. Then there's Kash Patel. Kash Patel. Well, can't accuse him of womanizing, can't accuse him of drinking, not yet anyway. So what do they accuse him of? Of wanting to use the FBI to go after the journalists. He's got a hit list, don't you know? That's right, Kash Patel. Suddenly he's going to unleash the FBI, and every FBI agent's going to do whatever he says, you see. He's going to direct the FBI to go after Trump's political opponents, lock them up, go after the media. Based on what? Based on nothing. Just like Trump and the neo-Nazis, just like Trump's a dictator, just like Trump's a fascist. Here we go again. Except now it's Kash Patel. Let me tell you a little story. When I was in the Reagan administration and served President Reagan, and I was chief of staff to Attorney General Meese was taking an awful lot of slings and arrows in the lead up to the election of George H.W. Bush. He was very concerned. He was very friendly with George H.W. Bush that he was harming his election possibilities. And he decided that summer before the election, that summer before the November 1st Tuesday of 1988, that he would resign, that he would step down, an innocent man who was under constant attack. 2 independent counsel. 1 wasn't good enough. They had 2. One of the most honest, decent, ethical men I ever met. Never took a penny from anybody. Never got rich. None of it. Compare him to the Biden crime family. And he decided to step down. I want you to listen carefully to me. In addition to his family members, he invited a handful of staff. I was the chief of staff. He invited me, invited the counselor, his counselor, Ken Cribb. He invited his executive secretary, Kathy. He invited maybe 2 others. That was it. And we were in the Oval Office when he was meeting President Reagan and the First Lady, Nancy Reagan. And George H.W. Bush, the vice president, popped in. Ed Meese was and is deeply admired. Deeply admired. And as I was standing there, and Ed Meese was saying goodbye to his longtime friend and confidant, Ronald Reagan, among other things, President Reagan said to Ed Meese the following: I want you to know, Ed, and Ursula, his wife, how deeply sorry I am that you've had to go through this. I know, Reagan said. This is word for word. I know that the attacks on you were intended for me. I know that they tried to destroy you because they wanted to destroy me. But they couldn't get to me. So they went after you. These attacks on Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, there'll be others, are attacks on Donald Trump. I hope his people understand this. Because they can't get to Trump. Right now, he's untouchable. Just want a landslide. Criminal cases are done. The one in Manhattan will be done by hook or by crook. So they want to weaken his presidency. They want to weaken his policy agenda. And so they're targeting the individuals who they believe are the most dangerous to them. Not to you. Not to democracy, but to them. Hegseth's at the top of the list. Kash Patel's right behind him. And there will be others. The ones who will slide through with bipartisan support, they're obviously not worried about them. But if you're principled, if you said things that are truthful, if you really want to do something about what's happening in our government, the ruling class, Democrats and Republicans alike, the media and their ilk, their surrogates, you're public enemy number one. They will use whatever they can. They will use anonymous sources, anonymous staffers at Fox. They will use past relationships and associations or ugly divorces. They will do whatever they can. They will use whatever they can. I noticed the media are very excited about showing what people used to say about Trump, and now Trump's nominated them, or what they said about somebody else, or somebody else said about, look at that, look at the hypocrisy, this is amazing. Suddenly that matters. Suddenly it matters when Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris, who accused him of all things of effectively being a segregationist, but that didn't seem to matter. We know primaries are tough. We know things are said. Ronald Reagan chose George H.W. Bush as his running mate, who trashed Ronald Reagan, who questioned his intelligence. But he chose him anyway. John Kennedy chose Lyndon Johnson. He couldn't stand Lyndon Johnson. Considered him a backwoods hillbilly, a foul-mouthed, no good for nothing, but he chose him. And I can go on and on and on. We're not impressed with the modern American media any more than we're impressed with Pravda or Al Jazeera. Cheap shot punks. But remember what Reagan said. They're not out to get you, Ed. They're out to get me. And when they were out to get Reagan, they were out to get us. They're not really out to get Hegseth. They're out to get Trump. And in getting Trump, they're out to get you. How dare you vote in a landslide to put Trump back in the presidency? That's what this is all about. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It lowered interest rates by a quarter. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. There's not a conservative, there's not a constitutionalist, none, who can pass the test that the Democrat Party and the Marxist jihadists, not Islamists, jihadists now, we've upgraded them, put out there for them because they're out to sabotage them. They go after Clarence Thomas, they go after Sam Alito, they go after Gorsuch. Doesn't matter. They go after Reagan. They go after Meese. They go after the Bushes. They go after Trump. They go after Hegseth. They go after Patel. Nobody can meet their standards, even the people with the cleanest records. Then it's their positions that are controversial. Then they're right-wing and they're anti-democratic. More when I return. The markets are volatile. They're shooting up wildly only to drop without warning. The Fed just cut rates yet again, this time by a quarter point. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is not confident the economy is strong. In fact, last month only 12,000 jobs were created, all of them in the government. That's why I'm telling you again, diversification is crucially important. And diversification with gold is what I do. And the company I use, and I've used many, the best one is Advantage Gold. Call them now at 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how gold gold can help you diversify your investments and take advantage now. Now, gold has been helping to protect and grow wealth for people for thousands of years. And in these times, it can be more crucial than ever. When it comes to gold, I trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America. They're who I turn to when I purchase gold. Call them now, 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000 now for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help you with your investment portfolio, a.k.a. your bank accounts, your paycheck. And when you do, you could qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Folks, don't wait. Call them now, 800-900-8000, and tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, an unapologetic patriot and unapologetic constitutionalist. You can reach him at 877-381-3811.
Experience is important when you've lived a little while. Another thing I remember about Reagan, he never backed down. Oh, he'd compromise here and there on issues, but on the principles, he pushed what he wanted to do, whether it was strategic defense initiative, huge increase in defense spending that was needed. That's right. The destruction of the Soviet Union, the Trident missile. And he never backed down on his nominees. I will tell you this, too. I say this as a positive thing, as a good example to the Trump folks and other folks. When Bob Bork got into trouble with the Democrats when they were trying to destroy him, Reagan refused to pull his ticket. In fact, he said to Bork, "You don't have the votes in the Senate. Our people tell us. But I'm not going to withdraw your name unless you want me to withdraw your name." And he said, "No, Mr. President. Let's make them have a roll call vote. Let's force them to have a vote." President Reagan said, "Okay, absolutely. I'm not withdrawing you." Maybe there's somebody who he withdrew that I don't remember, but I don't remember him withdrawing. Certainly not many, if any. He knew that they would try to create controversies around them. He talked about the Iron Triangle, the media, the Democrat Party, and the special interests. He knew because they tried to create controversy around him all the time. He understood all that. But he stood by Bork thick and thin, as he did other nominees, as he did other individuals. He stood by Attorney General Meese, who came under a blistering attack from two independent counsel, constant harassment from committees of Congress. Endless. I know, I was there. And he stood by him. He said, no, I know what's going on. I'm backing my Attorney General, my friend. I know what's going on with Pete Hegseth. Folks, I've seen it before. Now, you know this. I know you know this because you're my radio audience and we're a big family here. Nobody, but nobody, has been more aggressive, more substantive, more thoughtful in their defense of President Trump, who was wrongly attacked when he came down that escalator. Nobody. Now they'll bring out quotes of me saying I could never support Trump, this, that. We know what happened there. I did it on radio. And President Trump, as I said over and over again, he sent me a note and said, I have nothing to do with what Roger Stone said. And Roger Stone and I don't talk to him that much. I like Roger Stone. I think we get along great right now. I think what was done to Roger Stone was disgusting. And I've said it over and over again. And I believe Roger's been on the program a couple of years back. So none of that matters. Oh, but look what he said back. Doesn't matter. When the rubber hits the road, you can determine who's going to stand with you and who's not. And not just out of loyalty, although that's good, but out of substance and purpose and principle. And principle. It's important. In your own lives, look at your own life. When you've gone through hard times, maybe you've had some unpleasant issues. Maybe you did something you shouldn't have done, and you regret it. I must confess, I don't have a lot of that in my background, but some people do. I get it. Things you would have done differently. There is some of that. I shouldn't have done it that way. I should have done it this way. But maybe there's issues of moral turpitude, which is not good. But you can't take it back. But you live your life a new way. Maybe you were an addict. And you live your life a new way. That's important. Are we to believe that these members of Congress have never experienced this? Are we to believe these Democrats and, yes, these Republicans are so pure? Not just when it comes to morality, but when it comes to anything else, that they're so consistent? When you listen to this Joni Ernst or when you listen to this Lindsey Graham, you think to yourself, really, who are these people? They think they're God's gift. They think they're so brilliant. They think they can predict the future. If people would just listen to them. They're politicians. Now, with all due respect, politicians are on the lowest ladder when it comes to morality and ethics. And not just in their personal lives, but in the way they treat and talk to us. The way they say one thing and do another. I would remind Ernst, I would remind Graham, and I'd remind the rest of them. You wouldn't be in a majority but for we the people who voted and supported Donald Trump and support Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel. It's not a matter of an appointee getting along with Democrats and Republicans and the Republican establishment in the Senate. That's not the test. It's never been the test. There was a Tea Party movement that rose up against Obama and Bush of the past. That rose up against Mitch McConnell and Boehner. There was a Reagan revolution that rose up against the Republican establishment. We the people, we rise up from time to confront this, and we win in massive landslides. We the people rose up again to defend and support Donald Trump. It's really the third time Reagan, the Tea Party, Trump, in a half century. And they still don't listen to us. And they still resist the will of the people. They still tell us we don't have a mandate. There's something wrong with you and me. The idea that Eric Swalwell remains in the House of Representatives and wasn't expelled for having an affair with a communist Chinese spy, and they go after Pete Hegseth. Ladies and gentlemen, are we to take this seriously? A combat veteran with 2 damn Bronze Stars fought in 2 theaters, Iraq and Iran? And there's Swalwell? Are you kidding me? It's time to speak out. It's time to be heard. Right now. I am not a special pleader for Pete Hegseth. I've never socialized with him. But I know him professionally. I know him when we've sat down and we've done interviews together. When he's interviewed me, when I've interviewed him. I know him. He's a man who seeks the truth. He's a man who's put his life on the line for his country. He's a man he's willing to serve. And he's under vicious, brutal, horrendous smear attacks right now by the Washington establishment machine, by the media, the Democrats, and the rhinos. He's under attack. What are we going to do? Leave this war hero on the battlefield? Is that what he would do? We got a plan B, they tell us. Maybe they got a plan C and D. I don't care. It's not a Matt Gaetz situation. This is different. This is different. Maybe he'll survive. Maybe he won't. But it's important that those of us who are moral, who do have principles, who do understand what's taking place, that we put down our marker, whatever may come. That doesn't mean there aren't great men and women in the wings. I didn't say that. That's not the point. This isn't intended to disparage anybody else who might be an outstanding Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State or Secretary of this or Administrator for that. It's not the point. Sometimes you go down fighting because you do what's right. I haven't talked to Pete Hegseth since he's been nominated. Who did? What's her name? Megyn Kelly did, right, Mr. Producer? I haven't. I don't even want to put him on the spot. I don't want to interview him because then it would be, oh, Levin interviewed him. Levin, the same crowd. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. I'm not liked by a majority of the Republicans on Capitol Hill. I am not liked by virtually every Democrat on Capitol Hill. I wear it as a badge of honor. I'm despised by the media, even friendly media. I don't care. It's okay by me. When I'm on my deathbed, at least I'll know I lived my life the way I wanted to live it. I didn't compromise with fools and phonies and politicians, and I'm not going to. I don't seek their approval. I don't want it. There are hosts on TV and radio who die for it. The conga line of guests that they bring on, and the texts and the emails they send, and the parties they go to. I don't do it. I don't want to do it. I just live differently. It's just the way I am. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It's lowered interest rates by a quarter. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you could even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. You know, it's amazing, folks, as this regime is conducting itself as a fascistic regime, where the father gives a pardon to the son in order to cover the father's crimes. The use of the FBI and the Department of Justice, federal prosecutors, to go after political opponents. Open borders in order to change the demographics and change the number of Democrats who have safe seats in the House of Representatives. By the way, they stole 2 seats in California. It drives me nuts that there's no reporting on this. A month after the election's over. This is how it goes. Totally under the radar. It's just pathetic. And yes, they did. And I can prove it if anybody has any questions. That aside, now they're talking about preemptive pardons, Mr. Producer. What's a preemptive pardon? Nobody's ever heard of it. They want to pardon all their political friends and people who are in the Biden regime just in case the new Department of Justice decides to look under the sheets, you understand. Now, if this isn't the conduct of a mobster, a fascistic dictator, I don't know what is. The attack on free speech, the attack on social platforms, the attack on freedom of assembly and freedom of speech in front of Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics, the attack on parental rights and parental free speech at school board meetings. I mean, I can go on and on and on of the civil liberties that this regime, this Biden police state, are exercising, have exercised, and are doing it right now. And yet we keep hearing about what Kash Patel might do, or what Donald Trump might do, or what somebody else might do. They haven't done it. They're not going to do it, but it's being done right now. And Politico, one of Joe Biden's favorite leak recipients, the Kash Patel nomination, who has vowed to pursue Trump's critics as FBI director, has heightened concerns with the president's inner circle. This is written by a guy by the name of Jonathan Martin. He's a hemorrhoidic. He's a human hemorrhoid. That's what a hemorrhoidic is. He's a human hemorrhoid on the inner thigh of the Washington, D.C. ruling class body politic. That's who he is. He's a mouthpiece. He's a propagandist. I'm going to get to this article after the break at the top of the hour. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I jumped the gun a little bit here before we get to the Politico piece. I want to get to Penelope Hegseth and what she said on Fox and Friends with Steve Doocy. Also, I want you to be aware that there are efforts, in some cases, to shut down their show, just so you know. In some markets, to take it off the air. We will fight that. Or conversely, to control the content. We will fight that too. I'm not prepared to talk about it right now, but at the right time, if necessary, I certainly will. That's not what we do here. And you should be aware of that. Like I say, in good time. In good time. So, Pete Hegseth's mother felt it necessary to go on Fox and Friends to talk to Steve Doocy, who's a good reporter. It's a great show, too. Because they took an email she had sent to her son, who was in the middle of a divorce, a difficult divorce, which she took back in an immediate subsequent email, which they put at the bottom of the article, but they tried to do as much damage to the New York Times as possible. This is a bloodlust corporation that supported Stalin against the Ukrainians, that covered up the Holocaust, that helped install Castro, and now we're supposed to sit here and listen to the New York Times. So here's Penelope Hegseth today. Cut 3, go.
I am here to tell the truth to the American people and tell the truth to the senators on the Hill, right, especially our female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media and that you will listen to Pete.
Well, and you're here to tell us, because you are in the news now. So why did you write that email in 2018?
Right. Well, what was going on? Right. Let's go back 7 years, which if we all went back 7 years, we would see that maybe we were not the people we are today. But they were going through, Pete and his wife at the time were going through a very difficult divorce. It was a very emotional time, and I'm sure many of you across the country understand how difficult divorce is on a family. There's emotions. We say things, and I wrote that in haste. I wrote that with deep emotions. I wrote that as a parent, and about 2 hours later, I should, my husband tells me I should think through things a little bit more, but Pete and I are both very passionate people. I wrote that out of love. And about 2 hours later, I retracted it with an apology email, but nobody's seen that. So it was a difficult time. I want to say something about the media. And part of today is to discredit the media and how they operate. When they contact you, I let a few phone calls go, but then they call you and say they threaten you. That's the first thing they do. Right. They say, unless you make a statement, we will publish it as is. And I think that's a despicable way to treat anyone. Threats are dangerous, and they're hard on families.
But that's the way the American media work, because it's not an actual media. It's a hit job that they're doing on behalf of the Democrats, on behalf of the ruling class, because New York Times is part of that. Cut 4, please, go.
What's your message to the New York Times?
I would say I don't think the way you operate it feels almost criminal when reporters call you and threaten you. I don't think a lot of people know that's the way they operate. And they are in it for the commission, for the money, and they don't care who they hurt, families, children. And I don't believe that is the right way to do things.
Do you think that's just the way they try to get the story?
Oh, of course. It's their job. But I can take the opposite view. I can take the high road. I can take the belief in good and the good in people. And will we be persecuted? Will we suffer in life? Yes, sure, we will. But I know in whom I believe. I believe in God. I believe in Pete. I believe in my family, my husband of 48 years. Hi, honey.
Mm-hmm. Look what they're putting this family through. Notice the Swalwell family didn't go through anything. The Schiff family, the man who lied to this nation repeatedly, he's now a United States Senator. But listen to this so-called mainstream media. Norah O'Donnell, who is a fraud, a phony, and a fool, on CBS Evening News yesterday. And, of course, they get no ratings anymore either. Gone are the days of serious newsmen and women and journalists. Hat-tip newsbusters. Listen how they do this, or she does. Cut 6, go.
We begin with new reporting tonight by CBS News. The highest priority of the President of the United States is the safety and security of the American people. As the commander-in-chief, presidents rely on their defense secretaries to help carry out that solemn
task. Now look
how
they talk, as if you're an idiot. Oh, security's the most important thing? Oh, they rely on their defense secretaries? Wow. But you wouldn't know that security is the most important thing under the Biden regime, or most Democrat regimes for that matter, the way they treat the military, the way they're treating the men and women in uniform now with DEI and wokeism and all the rest of it. The way that Kamala Harris, so concerned they are, the Democrats and the media, of our security and our military, that she didn't vote once for a salary increase any time during the 6 years that she was in the Senate, to increase the salary of the men and women in the military, earned next to nothing. But don't worry about that. Now Norah O'Donnell's told us the chief job of the commander-in-chief and why he relies on the Secretary of Defense. Oh, thank you so. Go ahead.
President-elect Donald Trump wanted a Fox News weekend host to hold that post.
No, he didn't want a Fox News weekend post, you a-hole, you liar. He wanted a man who served his country in combat in 2 theaters, Iraq and Afghanistan, who earned 2 Bronze Stars, who had to fight for his life and the life of his colleagues, and they for him. The hell are you talking about, you clown? You buffoon? Look at the way they talk about Hegseth versus the way they talked about Tampon Tim and his great service to the country, which never involved combat, period. And when it was his time, as effectively the commander, to step up, he turned tail and ran. But that's okay. Look how they gave a pass to Dougie Emhoff, who slammed a woman so hard she spun around and fell down. An attorney who went to the Daily Mail and how he reportedly treated women as the managing partner in his major law firm in L.A. Look at all the coverage that got. None. Zero. But don't worry. Hegseth, you see. It's Hegseth. Go ahead.
4-year-old combat veteran Pete Hegseth. But tonight, that nomination appears to be on the rocks.
It's on the rocks. That's her prediction. That's her campaign. That's her mission with the rest of the media. That's her campaign. That's her mission with a number of the Republicans who've been around a long time and are all for DEI and wokeism in the United States military and have done nothing to get off their asses and protect our men and women in uniform from the Biden regime. Go ahead.
Hegseth is facing new allegations of sexual misconduct and excessive drinking.
Excessive drinking? Allegations from whom? It's a lie. It's a flat-out lie. A flat-out lie. Anonymous staffers at Fox said they smelled booze on his breath. Everybody there says, no, we didn't. Then his prior position. Oh, yes, he used to drink. No, he didn't, writes one of the trustees. No, he did not. Concerned Vets of America. And so it doesn't matter now. They run with this stuff. See, Norah O'Donnell could be Jen Psaki, could be Rachel Maddow, could be Joe Scarborough after the genitalia transition. Because they operate in the world of propaganda, defamation, smears, character assassination. But poor Hunter Biden, he was addicted and, he's being unfairly focused on, don't you know? Go ahead.
This news has learned that
shut up, you idiot. Now, Joe Scarborough, you'd think Joe Scarborough would know, having been a congressman, a lot of controversy swirling around him. I don't know if it's true. He claims it's false. That's fine. But you would think he would know that you don't peddle this stuff. But he's peddling this stuff. And I tell Joe, I try to give him advice over this microphone. Do I not, Mr. Producer? So he doesn't have to go hat in hand. Stop grifting. Stop playing to the left. Stop playing to the other media. They hate your guts anyway, Joe. Don't you get it? But there he is on the Morning Schmo Show. Cut 7, go.
We also know, though, a lot of men and women come back from war zones, and perhaps they have PTSD. I'm not suggesting that's the case here. I don't know.
Then why would you bring it up in the context of Pete Hegseth if you're not suggesting? You certainly are suggesting it. Go ahead.
Here, but it is very obvious by seeing the pattern of behavior since he returned from... He's
not suggesting it, but it's very obvious given the pattern of behavior. You understand? And so he is peddling this stuff. What do they have on him? Nothing. It was a bad divorce. There were allegations made. There was an allegation of sexual assault that the police investigated and said, no, there wasn't. And text messages and other communications since demonstrate that to be the case. What exactly do they have on this man? Nothing. They have nothing. Nothing. That should be a prohibitive factor in his not becoming Secretary of Defense. But the great deliberative body, the United States Senate, and the Lindsey Grahams, and the Joni Ernsts, and a handful of others, they have questions. Very concerned. Very concerned, as the military has been treated so shabbily by the Biden regime and by the United States Senate. By the United States Senate. It's really quite disgusting to me. Why do they keep bringing on this Claire McCaskill? Certainly not for her intelligence, Mr. Producer. Why do they keep bringing her on? She's a defeated Senate Democrat from Missouri, the show me state. Will they stop showing us her, for God's sakes? For a lot of reasons. But why do they keep showing us Claire McCaskill? What does she have to offer? She's vicious, nasty, and vile. That's why she's on. Where would she go if she wasn't on MSNBC? She'd have nowhere to go. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, they say free, but what they really mean is see the fine print. There's no shortage of ads from the big wireless carriers offering the latest iPhone for free. But look deeper. You'll realize to qualify, you need to trade in your phone valued at $1,000. You need to be on the $100 a month unlimited plan and pay the $35 activation fee. That's a lot of money for a free phone, don't you think? Well, don't fall for it. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, has a better option. Get a brand new iPhone 14, which has all the bells and whistles you need, plus get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and mobile hotspot, all for $50 a month. How about that? Half the price of the big guys, and you get a new iPhone powered by America's most dependable 5G network. Do this. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. Switching is easy. Plus, when you go to puretalk.com/Levin, you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Biden White House is discussing preemptive pardons for those in Trump's crosshairs, is the way the always objective professional journalist Jonathan Martin writes for every lousy, lame-brained publication he's ever written for. The nomination of Kash Patel, it's his turn, who has vowed to pursue Trump's critics as FBI director has heightened concerns with the president's inner circle. Oh, Joe Biden. So his consiglieres, the mob family, is concerned about the mob family. What shall we do? They've come up with a new one, preemptive pardons. I've never heard of preemptive pardons. I guess I'm just not with it. Preemptive pardons. Biden's senior aides, they have nothing to do, these people. You see, they have nothing to do. Biden's running around, bumping into walls, falling asleep in international meetings. You know, the old Joe Biden of 4 years. Where's that button? Where, Mr. President, that's the nuclear button. No, where's that button? I like the button. I need to touch the... No, Mr. President, stay away from the button, please. This is a party that has Joe Biden as president, even now, and they're worried about Kash Patel, for God's sakes. More when I return. You know, they say free, but what they really mean is see the fine print. There's no shortage of ads from the big wireless carriers offering the latest iPhone for free. But look deeper. You'll realize to qualify, you need to trade in your phone valued at $1,000. You need to be on the $100 a month unlimited plan and pay the $35 activation fee. That's a lot of money for a free phone, don't you think? Well, don't fall for it. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, has a better option. Get a brand new iPhone 14, which has all the bells and whistles you need, plus get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and mobile hotspot, all for $50 a month. How about that? Half the price of the big guys, and you get a new iPhone powered by America's most dependable 5G network. Do this. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. Switching is easy. Plus, when you go to puretalk.com/Levin, you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Blasting conservative fire. The Mark Levin Show. Call in now at 877-381-3811.
Welcome back, America. I'm here with Julie. We call her my wife, right? You're my wifey. We had a fantastic Thanksgiving, didn't we?
We had an amazing Thanksgiving.
And come closer. We had unbelievable food, didn't we?
We had unbelievable food.
And I've been begging for leftovers, haven't I?
You have, all homemade.
And among the things that you served, you have reminded me, is what?
Butternut squash.
Butternut squash. As part of the Thanksgiving. Did I eat it?
Not only did you eat it
I loved
this
it.
year, but you eat it every year.
And so I need to correct the record. And I'm always here about being honest and correcting the record. But I wouldn't eat butternut squash just to eat butternut squash, would I? It's part of the whole Thanksgiving meal, right?
It's part of the whole rigmarole.
Oh, the rigmarole. I don't think I had one of those.
Now,
Is that kosher?
This food this year was amazing.
It was amazing.
And it was all kosher.
It was.
But it was beyond
It was
delicious.
amazing. We had, was it 22 or 24 people?
We had 22 people the first night,
Yes.
and we had 11 the second night, and 4 dogs.
And 4 dogs.
Indeed.
Yes, we did. You're right, now that you mentioned that. No, we had 5 dogs, actually.
No, we had 4.
1, 2, 3, no. We had ours. There was Jack. There was Abby. And
Shayna.
That's
Abby
5.
Was upstairs.
That's
Abby
okay.
was
Still
not-
5
was not
dogs.
there.
We count Abby.
But-
Don't worry, Vanessa and Charlie. I'm counting Abby.
But we
Yes.
do need to share with the audience
What
that
now?
dessert. I just need to tell them dessert.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my
so
God.
Dessert, and hat tip to Jenna for doing 99.9% of the dessert. Well, she did the whole.
Yeah, no.
most of the
What was
dinner.
it?
We had pumpkin pie. We had chocolate pecan pie.
One of my favorites.
We had apple pie.
My favorite.
We had blueberry pie.
Oh, my Lord.
And hat tip to Dave Dunnow, who brought the ice
Trump
cream
cake.
the huge sheet ice cream cake that had a photograph of Trump and Vance in sunglasses on it. With
That's right, on the
with
icing.
a whole shout out that said, "We won."
It was a great Thanksgiving.
And homemade
Yeah.
ice cream.
That's right. And it was lactose free.
It was parve, yes, so those who keep kosher could eat it.
And those who have lactose issues can eat it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I stand corrected, and now my mouth is watering. Because I could eat Thanksgiving dinner once a week, every week of the year. Not every day, but once a week. It's like Chinese food. I could eat it once a week. I can't eat every day.
Well, here you have it.
It's unbelievable.
Enjoy.
Thank you, wifey.
You're welcome, my honey.
There she goes. Oh, yes. So I stand corrected. She had sent me an email. Butternut squash? Question mark. I go, butternut, what the hell? Eat butternut squash. Apparently I did, and I do every year as part of Thanksgiving. And it's delicious, but I don't eat it by itself. Do you do that, Mr. Producer? You can? You're stabbing me in the back. But usually you're stuffing a cheesesteak in your face, right? Am I right about that? Yes. All right. Did you know more strokes occur between November and February than any other 4-month period? That's true. The holidays can be a time of stress, disrupted routines, and overindulgences. So there's no better time. This is very important. As somebody who has heart disease, who has 5 stents, had 4, I call them 4 bypasses. They call them other things. Still has issues, unfortunately. But you live with what you got. You tried to. So we're here with these preemptive pardons. So they invent new words. They throw out old words. There's no such thing as a preemptive pardon as a matter of law, as a matter of tradition in the United States. Can a president issue preemptive pardons? I suppose so. But what are they telling us? They're telling us that the Biden crime family circle is so big, involves so many people, and if it's not directly with the Biden crime family, the public misconduct is so egregious that they're working feverishly, vigorous internal debate, quote unquote, says the phony media outlet and the phony journalist Jonathan Martin at Politico. They're working vigorously because the clock is ticking, to figure out who to put on the list of the preemptive pardons. Because Kash Patel might be the FBI. Oh, my God. Kash Patel's never done anything illegal. Hasn't done anything unethical. They might confuse him with the old FBI under Biden, under Obama. That FBI leaking to the media, creating false stories, using FOIA, that one. Like the KGB. But Kash Patel's never been involved in anything like... Isn't it amazing? The very people who abused the powers of the Federal Bureau of Investigation to go after Trump and his people, to go after his campaign, to go after his staff, are the ones pointing the finger about Kash Patel might abuse the FBI. And the very media that went along with it, that were accepting these leaks and that were promoting the Russia collusion story, lying and lying. and then handing each other a award. You know, that's a Pulitzer Prize for that guy. And we'll give this one a prize over here. And when we have our Washington yearly special event where we all get dressed up and cheat on our spouses. Ooh, don't say that. And get drunk? No, we don't do that. Just Hegseth. We don't do that. Not us. No, we don't do that. Pointing the finger. The White House officials are carefully weighing the extraordinary step of handing out blanket pardons. Have you ever seen anything so corrupt in your life? They're even discussing it. Is that corrupt enough for you? To those who've committed no crimes, both because it could suggest impropriety, only fueling Trump's criticisms, and because those offered preemptive pardons may reject them. This is called testing the waters, and Jonathan Martin is a flunky for the regime, for the government, for the police state. So they throw out a few names. Who shall we give them to? Adam Schiff. Well, what did Adam Schiff do other than lie to the American people? Other than use evidence in a way where the evidence was used to tell a lie because it wasn't evidence. Liz Cheney, what did she do? Didn't they destroy stuff over in the January 6th committee? I don't know. I'm just doing this by recollection. And Fauci, did he lie to the American people? Well, sure seems like it. It seems like he did it a lot, but that's just one man's opinion, just my opinion. The West Wing deliberations have been organized by White House counsel Ed Siskel of the famous High Wire Act, Siskel, and Muhammad, but include a range of other aides, including Chief of Staff Jeff Zients. What is it with the Zients and the Siskels? The president himself, who was intensely focused on his son's pardon, has not been brought into the broader pardon discussions yet. They'll make up their mind. They'll ring the dinner bell. The guy will show up. Mommy, where's my liver? Nobody eats liver anymore, you idiot. I mean, we're eating vegetables tonight, you vegetable. You understand. He doesn't know anything yet, but when it's time to sign the dotted line, we'll explain it to him. Now, the conversations, you see, were spurred by Trump's repeated threats and quiet lobbying by congressional Democrats. See, it's always Trump's fault. They want to commit a horrendous act of abuse of power. It may be technically legal, but it's still an abuse of power, like we've never seen in this country before. And it's Trump's fault. And it's Kash Patel's fault. And next thing you know, it's going to be Hegseth's fault. Maybe they'll bring Matt Gaetz back in, and it'll be his fault. Don't you see? Then we'll hear from Lindsey Gray. It's Mommy call. Lindsey, come up from the basement. What are you doing down there? Mom, I'm working with the Saudis over here with a two-state solution. Lindsey! Yes. The White House spokesperson declined to comment, but did not deny the discussion. So the White House plants it with their favorite stooge, Jonathan Martin with their favorite rag, Politico. Well, we're not commenting on it. There's a growing anxiety among high-level Democrats about just how far Trump's reprisals will go. Keep in mind, they're trying to put Trump in prison. They're trying to bankrupt Trump. They're using every cockamamie law they can think of, federal, state, local. They go after his family. They impeach him twice for not a damn thing, and we're worried about Trump's reprisals. Trump is far more magnanimous than Mark Levin is. I got to tell you. Most swords are double-edged. So when the mobsters, the Marxists, when they use the sword, they said, but you can't use it against us. They unleash the devil, but don't unleash him against us. You get the point? Yes. See, we need these preemptive pardons. Preemptive pardons. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know, they say free but what they really mean is see the fine print. There's no shortage of ads from the big wireless carriers offering the latest iPhone for free. But look deeper. You'll realize to qualify, you need to trade in your phone valued at $1,000. You need to be on the $100 a month unlimited plan and pay the $35 activation fee. That's a lot of money for a free phone, don't you think? Well, don't fall for it. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, has a better option. Get a brand new iPhone 14, which has all the bells and whistles you need, plus get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and mobile hotspot, all for $50 a month. How about that? Half the price of the big guys, and you get a new iPhone powered by America's most dependable 5G network. Do this. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. Switching is easy. Plus, when you go to puretalk.com/Levin, you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Mr. Producer, did I tell you how much I love butternut squash? Did I tell you that? Here's the truth. When I'm eating Thanksgiving dinner, you heard my wife. We've got more cooks than we know what to do with. I don't like cooking anything. So when everybody's in the kitchen, I step away. It sounds great. Everybody's doing their thing, and I know it's going to be beautiful, and it is beautiful every single year. And I'm taking spoonfuls of this, that, stuff I would never eat in my life. I don't even know what it is. I just know it tastes great. It just does. There's something about Thanksgiving where my taste buds open wide up, Mr. Producer. Wide up. And the people who cook it, the family, they're just fantastic. The pies, the this, the that. Why am I talking about this? I don't know. All right, let's go on. Now, this article in Politico doesn't condemn the conspiracy that's going on behind the scenes, although some of it's been now leaked out, to try and soften the blow when it happens. You know, technically, this whole idea of preemptive pardons, Donald Trump could come into office, and the first thing he could do is say, I'm giving a preemptive pardon to every person who works for me. Now, keep something in mind. These are the same bastards who are upset about immunity for a president from prosecution for his official acts while he's president, which is really built into the structure, the construct of the Constitution, so a president could actually do his job without worrying about being prosecuted. We were told that's the end of democracy. It destroys separation of powers, that the president's not above the law. Here we have Biden, who just pardoned his son in order to cover his own ass from 11 years of criminal conduct and millions of dollars sent to the Biden crime family by foreign governments led by the communist Chinese. Here we have Biden, who's talking about preemptive, well, actually his people are, preemptive pardons for members of his administration or political supporters of his or Kamala Harris's. Preemptive pardons. Now, nobody's done preemptive pardons before for a whole Madison Square Garden filled of individuals. Who's even thought of that term? Preemptive pardons. So Donald Trump could come in office and say, you know what I'm going to do? Every one of my cabinet members, here's a preemptive pardon for 11 years. Any crime you may have committed or you're going to commit. Oh, let's go beyond that. I have 3,200, 3,300 political appointees. Here is a preemptive pardon for every one of my appointees for anything they did, anything they might do, anything they're going to do. Here's a preemptive pardon. I mean, that's the same theory. You can do it, can't you? Well, if Biden gets away with this, why wouldn't you? What do you think about that, Supreme Court? 3 left-wing dope justices? Oh, no, this could be immunity. I mean, this could be above the law. What do you think about that? Judge Chunkin? Chunkin. Yeah, you, Judge Chunkin. You phony judge, I'm talking to you. Judge Pond, another phony judge on the appellate court in D.C. What do they think about that? Oh, they'll be fine. You know, it's like this guy, Dan Goldman, the clown, former federal prosecutor, who's the congressman. No, he's not going to pardon him, against pardoning. And he pardons. Of course I'm for pardon. Any father would pardon their son. He looks like a clown because he is a clown. Because these people don't care about hypocrisy or contradictions. They care about imposing their will, lording over us. That's it. That's all that matters. The end justifies the mean, as they say. But preemptive pardons? Yes, it's Trump's fault. It's Kash Patel's fault. Get it? This is the most corrupt, I'm telling you now, corrupt criminal enterprise ever to be run out of the White House of the United States of America. We have never, ever seen anything like this before. The Power Hour is next. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Your number 877-381-3811. Hello, 877-381-3811. I got to circle back to this preemptive pardon thing. I finished reading this article at Politico, you know. They take an Aristotelian word and, of course, they turn it into crap because that's what the left does. The White House is facing contradictory pressures from Capitol Hill. Some longtime Democratic lawmakers like Senator Ed Markey, Marxist of Massachusetts, have talked favorably about the precedent of former President Gerald Ford's preemptive pardon of Richard Nixon. Now, that was issued before any charges were filed against the disgraced former president. Now, the Democrats hated this, and they won the presidency really because Carter barely beat Ford, and this was one of their issues. Now they embrace it. Like now they're for the filibuster, when 4 weeks ago they were going to eliminate the filibuster. They're just so chock full of stuff, aren't they? If it's clear by January 19 that revenge is his attention, meaning Trump and Kash Patel, then I would recommend to President Biden he provide those preemptive pardons to people. That's really what our country's going to need next year, Markey said to WGBH last week, radio. Representative Brendan Boyle, isn't that like something you get on your body that's very painful, Mr. Producer? Guy's name is Brendan Boyle. Brendan. Oh, that's Brandon we're talking about. Anyway, a close Biden ally who hosted the president in his district shortly before the election issued a plea for Biden to offer blanket pardons. Blanket pardons. Preemptive pardons. Hand them out like candy. Yes. That's new. That's progressive. This is no hypothetical threat, Boyle said in his statement, adding, the time for cautious restraint is over. We must act with urgency to push back against these threats and prevent Trump from abusing his power. They want to issue preemptive pardons, and they're accusing Trump of wanting to abuse his power. Now think about this. How sick these bums are. Other lawmakers, I'm told, have been just as emphatic in private with Biden's aides in calling for preemptive pardons. However, some congressional Democrats, including those who may be in Trump's political crosshairs, are uneasy about the idea of being granted a pardon they're not seeking. You see, they unleashed injustice. They corrupted the justice system. They corrupted the courts, the very judges, whether it's Chunkin or whoever it is. They've corrupted the rules of evidence. They've corrupted the use of statutes. They've corrupted the entire process, the appointment of a special counsel, which they did unconstitutionally. They tried to rush it in before the election. They tried to defeat him and throw him in prison before the election. They failed. It backfired. Now they're saying, uh-oh, look what we unleashed here. Joe, protect us. I have an idea, preemptive pardons. That's right. Just pardon us, just in case. Like Nixon. Well, that's a long list. Yes, everybody. Preemptive pardons. All Democrats, all leftists. Give us preemptive pardons. Are you listening to this, America? What a lawless, thuggish, mobster-like administration and party we're talking about here? Wow. Some senior Democrats I spoke with wonder how many of those facing retribution are adopting a version of the vote, no hope, yes mantra that often surrounds difficult legislative votes. That is, some may publicly oppose preemptive pardons for reasons of innocence or precedence, while privately hoping the president offers legal protection. In fact, they might privately be, please give me a pardon, please. Do you support preemptive pardon? Of course not. Of course not. What has some Biden aides particularly concerned is that even the threat of retaliation could prove costly to individuals because they'd be forced to hire high-priced lawyers to defend themselves in any potential investigation. So they broke the back of Trump staffers, Trump staff. Trump had to come up with tens of millions of dollars, take it out of his campaign, and so forth and so on. Nobody was concerned about legal expenses. And no, we don't have legal expenses. Come on, who's talking to? Get him, get him, get him. Remember? Just get Trump. Get Bannon. Get Stone. Get Manafort. Get him. Get Navarro. Just get him. Get him, get him, get him. Now, what about the expenses here for the Democrats here? You know, we're worried about that. This whole notion of preemptive pardons, you know, that's very important. I'm going to make a suggestion. If there are these mass preemptive pardons, then the Republican House needs to impeach Joe Biden on the way out the door, the way they pulled that crap against Donald Trump, and the Senate needs to hold a trial. And send that sorry-ass Joe Biden off with an impeachment on his record. I'm not kidding. Because this would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. Adding to Biden's challenge, I never thought I'd spend this much time on it, but it's that important. I've got a whole list of things I can't get to them all. I've got to focus on this right now. This is a big deal. What has some Biden aides particularly concerned is even the threat of retaliation would run up their bills, especially for those officials without significant means. The specter of six-figure legal bills in the coming years is unnerving. Some Biden, you have Trump people paid millions, and they didn't have it, and they went broke. Some Biden appointees, I'm told by people facing scrutiny, writes Jonathan Martin, a real journalist, if you believe in Pravda and Al Jazeera, are already considering taking the best-paying jobs next year in part to ensure they have the resources to defend themselves. My God. The most lawless, mobster-like regime in American history. They used all the triggers, all the tools of a police state against their political opponents, namely Donald Trump and his people. Parents, pro-lifers. Now, you and I are supposed to be concerned that these powers that they have unleashed might bite them in the ass. The inhumanity. Oh, my God, we get the inhumanity that Democrats and leftists and Bidenites and the other reprobates may actually face the same music that they unleashed on everybody else. Oh, no, that's called retribution. We can't, no. That's Hitler. He's Hitler. Yes. House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries invoked Hunter Biden's pardon this week in calling on the president, listen to this one, to on a case-by-case basis spare the working-class Americans in the federal prison system whose lives have been ruined by unjustly aggressive prosecutions for nonviolent offenses. For nonviolent offenses? They were prosecuted? There's a lot of nonviolent offenses. We call them all kinds of, embezzlement charges, all kinds of nonviolent stuff. So now that's off the table? Oh, yeah, we'll pardon them too. Well, here we are in the Democrat Party wonderland. The border's wide open. Every maniac, mass killer can come across. Every terrorist. Bring your drugs. Bring your weapons. Come on. Bring everybody. Come on in. The gangs especially. We're not vetting. Come on in. Then we're going to let out non-violent criminals. Whatever the hell that means. Oh, yes, mass pardon for nonviolent, because after all, the criminal justice system is corrupt, except when it comes to Donald Trump and his supporters. Then it's perfect. Then it's great. January 6th, Donald Trump, his staff. Yeah, I got it. That's justice. But look at all these people who had trials, juries, or pled, and had appeals in prison. No, we've got to let them out on a case-by-case basis, of course. How are we going to do that? They had a case-by-case basis, you idiot, Hakeem Jeffries. These people are nuts. It's an amazing thing how they applauded the horrendous abuse of power like we've never seen before against a former president who's running for the presidency again. We've never seen anything like what they did. It's amazing. Contempt of the January 6th committee. They actually prosecuted Bannon and Navarro for something nobody's prosecuted for? Yes, they threw him in prison, for God's sakes. Manafort, they put him in solitary confinement. That guy almost died. Stone, like Manafort, they sent a SWAT team to the guy's house. 6 a.m. Yeah, can I help you? Yeah, we're here. SWAT team, for God's sakes. Sent a SWAT team after Manafort, sent a SWAT team after Trump and Mrs. Trump. Can you imagine? Donald Trump might abuse power like we did, the Democrats. This is sick. And Joe Biden's not even aware of it yet. His staff is working on it. And that, by the way, that's how this government is operated under Joe Biden. He's not aware of anything until they shove the paper under his nose. Joe, yes. Would you sign this? What is it? Oh, you'll love it, Joe. But look, we're not giving you oatmeal for breakfast until you sign it. But I want my oatmeal. Until I eat my oatmeal, I can't put my teeth in my mouth. That's right, Joe. That's right. But here's the thing. If you sign it, we'll give you your oatmeal, we'll give you your teeth, and you'll get a trip to Rehoboth. Rehoboth, I love Rehoboth. I love making sandcastles, you know. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I want to jump into a Supreme Court hearing today on the issue of sex changing for kids. Tennessee and some other states they either ban it outright or they require significant participation by parents. And so the Supreme Court took up this issue. I want you to hear the leftists in the court, because they'll be remembered for all time, like the eugenics supporters and others in our history. Because this generation, unfortunately our generation, is going to be remembered as the generation that mutilated its children. Generations are remembered for segregation. Generations are remembered, yes, for eugenics. Generations like ours will be remembered for an extremist radical position on abortion. Not rare and safe. Often and everywhere. And now, something you never would have thought of 5 years ago, 10 years. A so-called right. A right to permanently change the sex of your child by reconstructing their genitalia, either surgically or medically. What we do to our own kids, for God's sakes. Ketanji Brown Jackson, when she was testifying, you will remember it's one of the most famous lines in American history, given testimony. From the best of schools was a federal judge, smart as they come. Will be the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court, except she didn't know what a woman is. So how can you be the first African-American woman if you don't know what a woman is? Well, the rest of us know what a woman is. They have this and they don't have that. There you go. It's called science. It's called biology. But when you're in the world of the Marxists, the Islamists, there is no science and biology. It's all ideology. And so there's this hearing at the Supreme Court today, whether or not to protect little children from adults who want to clip off their penis or want to add a penis either surgically or medically. And it ought to be a civil right. And it ought to be protected, and it ought to be paid for by the government, and in some instances, the parents shouldn't even know about it. See? It's that simple. That is a society that is insane, that is utterly immoral. And that's what we're fighting here, including these Supreme Court justices. How much time do I have, Rich? So when we come back, because I don't have enough time, I want you to hear Ketanji Brown Jackson. What did the Biden call her? Ketanji Johnson or something? I forget. Then I want you to hear from Sonia Sotomayor, who I argue is the dumbest of the Supreme Court justice, even the dumbest of the three leftists. I want you to hear what she has to say to the Solicitor General of Tennessee, arrogantly. She says it too. And they're comparing this treatment to taking aspirin. They're comparing this treatment to bans on interracial marriage. It's sick. Absolutely nuts. But you have to hear it with your own ears. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Man, oh, Manischewitz, we got to get hopping here. Oh, wait a minute here. We have a column from Philip Bump. Philip Bump is at it again, Mr. Producer? Philly Bump? You would have thought he would have resigned in shame or at least walk around the newsroom with a paper bag over his head. But no, but apparently he's very concerned because the greatest defenders of Pete Hegseth, he says, it's not Trump, it's Fox News. And among them, me. Wow, how dare I? What a dysfunctional so-called news organization over there at the Washington Compost. People resigned on principle. Philly Bump, why didn't you resign on principle? We know why. You have no principles, clown. And no, I'm not going to read your barely literate, your compound sentence, your run-on paragraphs. I'm not going to read that to the audience because they're too smart for that. Not your Washington Post audience. I'm talking about real Americans. Too smart for that. Okay, let's get back to the liberals and their obsession with child genitalia and changing it like they're God, you know. Here is Ketanji Brown Jackson, who, remember, couldn't define what a woman is. All she had to do was look down at her feet. She would have seen what a woman is, wouldn't she, Mr. Producer? On the way down to her feet? Seems to me pretty simple, but what do I know? I'm not a justice. Cut 14, here she is, go!
That was sort of like the starting point. The question was whether it was discriminatory because it applied to both races and it wasn't, necessarily invidious or whatever. But, as I read the statute here, the case here, the court starts off by saying that Virginia is now one of 16 states which prohibit and punish marriages on the basis of racial classification.
So this has nothing to do with the case called Levin in the late 1950s, where Virginia had banned for some time interracial marriage. It is a seminal case. It has absolutely nothing to do with the genitalia of children. It has nothing to do with discrimination, inequality, that is, of children. This is about abusing children through the power of the state, and some states saying, we're not going to do that here. We're not going to do it in Tennessee. And so according to Associate Justice Jackson, that reminds her of the case that banned interracial marriage, because you see, that means some children will have the luxury of having their genitalia removed or added to, where other children won't, depending on where they live. And so in Tennessee, you won't. But of course, in Massachusetts, it's bring out the scalpel and bring out the drugs. That's so unequal. How stupid is this woman? How sick is it to compare it to one of the great decisions of all time by the Supreme Court? Go ahead.
Structure of that law, it looks in terms of, you can't do something that is inconsistent with your own characteristics. It's sort of the same thing. So it's interesting to me that we now have this different argument, and I wonder whether Virginia could have gotten away with what they did here by just making a classification argument the way.
And of course, she will be lauded by Elizabeth Prologer, the U.S. Solicitor General, who's a radical extremist. Go ahead.
is in this case.
Yes, I think that's exactly right,
yes,
that there is
exactly.
absolutely a parallel between any law that says you can't act inconsistent with a protected characteristic.
Yes, right. Absolutely. That's right. Rejiggering some little kids' genitalia is absolutely the same as banning interracial marriage. We all know that. It's just so logical. Absolutely. No question about it. There's simply no distinction. Stupid. She's the Solicitor General of the United States, and the other one's an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. It's a sick discussion. It is an immoral policy that they're trying to impose, and that's the other thing. You states, you're too stupid to figure this out. We know you have your own doctors, your own health officials. We know, that's fine. But we lawyers here in the Supreme Court, we get to decide, don't you know? The Solicitor General. I mean, after all, she has privates. We up here, we have privates too. So we know what we're talking about when we're talking about privates, except when I'm up for confirmation, then I can't even acknowledge that my privates belong to women. But that's okay. We're going to substitute our ideology for science in Tennessee. That's right. And just because they take the butcher's knife out in Massachusetts, why shouldn't they have to take it out in all states? And not only that, what if the child says, I'm a boy and I want to be a girl, or vice versa? Shouldn't we take that into the account? It's just like the interracial marriage case. What the hell are you talking about? They should get an F if they were law students writing this crap in an essay. No, but you're exactly right. What do you mean you're exact? That's right. It's a perfect parallel. So they can't argue it on the substance or the merits. So they have to actually go to the interracial marriage case, the seminal case that the Supreme Court knocked down, the ban on interracial marriage, and try to somehow bootstrap this into their genitalia case. Now, it seems like at least 5 of the 6 Republicans, that is, those who were appointed by Republicans, got it. Gorsuch didn't say anything. Now, hopefully he'll get it right. He makes me a little nervous because in this area, for some reason, he's an activist. He's an activist when it comes to genitalia. It's just the truth. He is. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. He thinks the Civil Rights Act applies to gender, not sex. I'm not going to get into all this. It's just too monotonous. But that's an important point. Maybe we'll pursue it another day, depending on how the court rules. Now we have the dumbest of the justices, Sonia Sotomayor. The Tennessee Solicitor General is Matthew Rice. He's first, then Sotomayor. Cut 15, go.
Cannot eliminate the risk of detransitioners. So it becomes a pure exercise of weighing benefits versus risk. And the question of how many minors have to have their bodies irreparably harmed for unproven benefits is one that is best left.
I'm sorry, Counselor. Every medical treatment has a risk. Even taking aspirin.
So we compared it first to interracial marriage. And if you don't agree with them and their views on how to treat children's genitalia, then you obviously are like a racist from the 1950s in Virginia, where you would have opposed interracial marriage. Excuse me? Oh, yes. The parallel is obvious for all to see. Yes, that's exactly right, says Biden's lawyer. Now we have Sonia Sotomayor. It's like taking an aspirin. That has side effects too. Excellent point. It's like taking an aspirin. It has side effects. You might be allergic. Taking a Tylenol. A Tylenol, if you're drinking wine, you take Tylenol, it can blow out your liver. I happen to know that. That was a seminal case involving a buddy of mine. Tony is his name. It's like taking an aspirin. Now, think about this. There are risks and there are risks, right? So driving 80 miles an hour on an icy road where it's 32 degrees out and it's a blizzard, that's a risk, right? Walking out your door to go to the mailbox to get the mail in the middle of a blizzard, that's a risk too, but they're 2 different risks, right? So taking an aspirin isn't really a big risk. Chopping off a little kid's penis or adding a penis to a little girl, that could be a big problem, don't you think? It has nothing to do with aspirin. It has nothing to do with interracial marriage. Are these people lunatics? So the state doesn't have the competence to make a decision without 3 left-wing kook justices telling them what to do? Are you kidding me? And listen to these justices. Listen to Jackson and Sotomayor. Don't they sound like imbeciles? Absolute morons? They think they come up with these clever that they sit in their office, in their little conference room with their clerks. Most of them have 3 clerks. And the clerks are of the same Ivy League breed as they are. They're eggheads, but without any yolk in the egg, if you get my drift, Mr. Producer. No common sense. I know what you can do. Katanji. What's that, Ernie? You can compare this to the famous Virginia case where interracial marriage was outlawed. Yes. You got that's what we'll do. You got the ticket. That's it. And then in the other office, there's Sonia Sotomayor with her genius justices. You know, Sonia, may I call you Sonia? Well, of course you may. Not. It's your justice. Okay, Your Honor, your justice. It's like taking an aspirin. Wait a minute. Chopping off a little boy's genitalia is like, yes, they both can have side effects. You know what? That's a genius point. I'm going to give you a bonus. That's good. You can go to lunch early. On me in the cafeteria. You can get the hot food, not the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Go ahead. Go. Oh, thank you, Justice. And there they are making asses of themselves. On the public record forever. Aspirin, interracial marriage. Oh, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense that we have 3 of the stupidest lawyers ever on the Supreme Court of the United States who are ideologues. And they'll go to every length possible to push their agenda. It's that simple. And it's also that grotesque. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Looks like Gerald Nadler is going to be replaced as the head of the House Judiciary Committee by Jamie Raskin. So the Maoist is going to take over for the Trotskyite. What do you think about that, America? The Maoist is going to... So they go further left. They go further left in the Democrat Party. Isn't that amazing? Sure, you understand. We got the result of the election. I've got quotes here from people saying there was no mandate, there is no this, there is no that. Going on and on and on. You know, Mr. Producer, we're going to take a caller or two before we have to leave these environs here. Let's see who we have. Let me see here. Let us go to Jim, Pensacola, Florida. Excuse me? Well, who is there? Quickly. Okay, we have a BW, Tyler, Texas, KTBB. How are you?
I'm great, Mark. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
So, you know, these justices, they're making up all these, they're citing 2 cases, you know, to law. They're citing the law. You know, we got that Democrat crime syndicate, the alphabet media, their accomplices. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we can cite 18 U.S.C. 62.
What's that?
And then they run around talking about Trump's conviction. And it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know what 18 U.S.C. 62 is. I haven't had time to look it up.
That's a RICO Act.
Yeah.
Against the organized crime syndicate of the Democrats.
Yeah, but you're going to need more than that. But anyway, go ahead.
But nonetheless, my understanding...
There's certain specific elements you need for RICO. Not that they're broad, not too broad. They are broad, but it's not enough to just say they're a crime syndicate. But yes, go ahead.
Well, they certainly seem like it. They seem to qualify.
Yeah. Oh, no, BW, I'm out of time. Tyler, Texas, great place. I apologize to you, my friend. Very much so. I salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine. We're with you. Our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land in Israel, we stand with you. We have your back. Biden stabbing you in the back. And you, the American people. God bless you.